The elevator door slid open with a whisper, and I stepped inside, balancing Noah on my hip while juggling my conference tote and his favorite stuffed elephant. The hotel in Monaco gleamed with the kind of wealth I'd once brushed against in my previous life, back when I was young and naive enough to believe love could conquer anything. "Mama, hungry," Noah mumbled against my shoulder, his small fingers tangling in my hair. At 2 years and 8 months, he spoke in fragments that melted my heart every single time. "I know, sweetheart. We'll get you something yummy as soon as we—" The words died in my throat. A man entered the elevator just as the doors began to close, his presence filling the small space like smoke. Expensive cologne reached me first, sandalwood and bergamot, a scent I'd chosen for him years ago, a scent that still haunted my dreams. Then came the visual confirmation that made my knees weak. Andrzej Nowak, my ex-husband, the man who had vanished from our apartment 3 years and 5 months ago without explanation, leaving only divorce papers and a wire transfer that I'd never touched. He hadn't seen me yet, his attention fixed on his phone as he pressed the button for the penthouse level. But I saw him, every devastating inch. Taller than I remembered, or perhaps grief had shrunk my memories. His dark hair was shorter now, silver threading through the temples. The sharp jawline I'd traced with my fingers remained, but something harder lived in the set of his shoulders beneath that charcoal suit. The elevator began its ascent. 15 floors to go. My heart hammered against my ribs. Noah shifted in my arms, and his elephant slipped from his grasp. Elefant. The stuffed toy tumbled to the polished floor, landing directly at Andrzej's feet. Everything slowed. Andrzej bent to retrieve it, and as he straightened, his gaze traveled up, from the toy to the small hand reaching for it, to the child in my arms, to my face. I watched the recognition hit him like a physical blow. His expression, so carefully controlled, cracked. The phone clattered from his hand. Lena. My name was a rasp, a prayer, an accusation all at once. I lifted my chin, something fierce and unexpected rising in my chest. 3 years ago, I would have crumbled. 3 years ago, I was the sweet, accommodating wife who'd ironed his shirts and never questioned where he went at night. That woman was gone, cremated in the same fire that had forged me into a mother. Andrzej. I kept my voice steady, almost bored, as if running into my vanished ex-husband was a minor inconvenience. You're blocking the buttons. His eyes, those storm-gray eyes that used to unravel me, moved to Noah. I saw the moment the math clicked into place. Noah had his father's coloring exactly. The same dark hair with that stubborn wave. The same sharp cheekbones that would break hearts one day. The same storm-gray eyes currently studying Andrzej with toddler curiosity. How old? Andrzej's voice was barely audible. Not your concern. I shifted Noah to my other hip, creating more distance in the confined space. Lena. This time my name carried warning. The elevator continued its climb, 10th floor, 11th. How old? Noah answered for me, holding up 2 fingers with great pride. 2. Something dangerous flickered across Andrzej's face. He took a step closer, and I instinctively stepped back until my shoulders hit the elevator wall. His hand shot out, but not toward me, toward the emergency stop button. The elevator lurched to a halt between floors. What are you doing? I demanded, real alarm sparking through my careful composure. You can't just... I can do whatever I want. The words were soft, lethal. This is my hotel. Of course it was. Andrzej Nowak owned half of Monaco's luxury establishments, or so I'd learned from the bitter research I'd done after he left. Legitimate businesses, the articles claimed. I knew better now. I'd been naive at 25, but I'd learned. Then you can unstop it, I said, matching his tone. My son needs lunch, And we have plans that don't include you. Our son." He said it like he was testing the words, seeing how they fit. "He's mine. He's mine." The correction was instant, protective. "You signed away any claim when you left." "I never—" He stopped himself, jaw working. "The divorce papers didn't mention a child. Because I didn't know yet." The admission slipped out before I could stop it. "You left me at 25, Andre. Walked away like our 2 years of marriage meant nothing. 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant." I watched the information land. Watched him process, calculate. His gaze returned to Noah, who was now occupied with making his elephant dance across my shoulder, oblivious to the tension crackling between the adults. "You should have told me." His voice had dropped to that dangerous quiet that used to precede his worst arguments. The laugh that escaped me was sharp enough to cut. "Told you? You disappeared. Changed your number. Had your lawyer send threatening letters when I tried to reach you through the firm. The old hurt tried to surface, but I pushed it down, replaced it with the steel I'd developed during 36 hours of labor, with no one holding my hand. I got the message, Andre. You wanted nothing to do with me. That's not—" He dragged a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it hurt. "It's complicated. No." I shifted Noah again, using him as a shield between us. "No, it's actually very simple. You left. I stayed. I built a life without you. Noah is happy, healthy, and loved. We don't need your complications." Andre's eyes narrowed. "You're staying in my hotel." "It's a conference hotel. I'm here for work." I met his gaze squarely, refusing to be intimidated despite the fact that he'd always been able to read me like a book. The International Hospitality Summit. I'm a keynote speaker on sustainable luxury practices. Something that might have been pride flickered across his face before the hardness returned. "You rebuilt." I had to. I pressed the elevator button to resume movement. Nothing happened. Of course. "Please let us go." "Not until we talk." "We are talking." "Lena." The way he said my name, part command, part plea, nearly undid me. 3 years. You kept my son from me for 3 years. "You kept yourself from him," I shot back. And there it was. The sharpness, the defiance I never would have shown the old Lena. "You made your choice, Andre. Live with it." Noah chose that moment to reach for Andre, his small hand stretching toward the stranger who wore his face. "Man give elefant?" Andre's expression crumbled. He held out the stuffed toy, and Noah snatched it with a delighted giggle, immediately making it kiss my cheek in thanks. "His name," Andre said hoarsely. "Tell me his name." I hesitated, then relented. "Noah. Noah Kowalski. Your name." "My name," I confirmed. "He's mine." The elevator lurched back to life without Andre touching any buttons. His hand was still extended, frozen in the space where Noah had taken the elephant. As we climbed past the 12th, 13th, 14th floors, I watched Andre wage some internal war. "Which floor?" he finally asked. 7. He pressed the button. The elevator began to descend, and something in my chest twisted. This was it. A strange reunion, a glimpse of the life that might have been, and then we'd go our separate ways again. But as the doors opened on the 7th floor, Andre's hand shot out, blocking my exit. "This isn't over, Lena." I looked up at him, this man I'd loved with everything in me, this man who'd shattered me. "Yes, it is. It ended 3 years ago when you chose to walk away. I had my reasons. Keep them." I ducked under his arm, Noah clutching his elephant and watching Andre with those mirror image eyes. "We don't need your reasons or your complications. We're fine without you." I walked down the corridor without looking back, even though every instinct screamed at me to turn around. Noah waved over my shoulder. "Bye-bye, man." I didn't hear the elevator doors close until I'd turned the corner, Only then did I let myself lean against the wall, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped my son. Andrzej Nowak was supposed to be my past. But as Noah patted my face with his small hand, asking again for lunch, I had the terrible certainty that my past had just become my present. And I had no idea how to protect my son from a man who owned hotels and answered to no one. A man whose eyes had held something far more dangerous than anger when he'd looked at Noah: possession. I managed to avoid Andrzej for exactly 4 hours. Noah and I had lunch in our room, a modest single with a view of the parking structure rather than the Mediterranean. I'd booked it months ago on my company's limited conference budget, never imagining I'd be staying in a property owned by the man who'd walked out of my life. My phone buzzed while Noah napped, curled around his elephant on the hotel bed. An unknown Monaco number. I let it go to voicemail, but the message made my blood run cold. Lena. Andrzej's voice filled my ear, smooth and implacable. We need to talk. I've moved your belongings to the penthouse suite. Noah will be more comfortable there, more space to play, proper security. Don't fight me on this. I stared at my phone in disbelief, the audacity, the sheer breathtaking arrogance. A knock at the door made me jump. I checked the peephole to find a man in a black suit, military bearing evident in his posture. Mrs. Nowak? His Polish accent was thick. I'm Piotr Wisniewski, head of security. Mr. Nowak sent me to escort you and the child to the penthouse. It's Ms. Kowalski, I corrected through the door. And we're not going anywhere. I'm afraid Mr. Nowak was quite insistent, ma'am. Then Mr. Nowak can be insistently disappointed. I kept my voice down to avoid waking Noah. Please leave. There was a pause. Ma'am, your belongings have already been transferred. Your room key has been deactivated. Mr. Nowak thought it would be easier. I yanked open the door. Easier? He thought kidnapping would be easier. Piotr had the grace to look uncomfortable. He was older, maybe 50, with kind eyes that didn't match his intimidating frame. Not kidnapping, ma'am. Mr. Nowak is concerned about security. He's had eyes on you since the elevator. There are complications you may not be aware of. Complications, I laughed bitterly. That's Andrzej's favorite word. Mama? Noah's sleepy voice came from behind me. I turned to see him rubbing his eyes, elephant dragging on the floor. Piotr's expression softened. The penthouse has a room set up for the little one. Toys, books. Mr. Nowak had everything delivered this afternoon. Of course he did. Andrzej had always solved problems by throwing money at them. 5 minutes, I said tersely. I need to change Noah and pack his things. Already packed, ma'am. Everything's waiting upstairs. The presumption of it ignited something hot and reckless in my chest. You tell Andrzej Nowak that he doesn't get to make decisions for my son. You tell him... Tell me yourself, Lena. Andrzej stepped out of the elevator at the end of the hall, flanked by another suited man. He moved toward us with that predatory grace I'd somehow forgotten. Each step deliberate and controlled. I scooped Noah into my arms. Stay away from us. He stopped 3 feet away, hands visible at his sides. Non-threatening, except everything about Andrzej Nowak was a threat. I'm not the danger here. But there are people in this hotel who are. Convenient excuse to justify your stalking. His jaw tightened. I have enemies, Lena. People who would use my weaknesses against me. The moment you stepped into my elevator with my son, you painted a target on both your backs. The words chilled me despite my anger. Then we'll leave. Check out. Go home. Where? Chicago? He tilted his head. Your apartment on West Division Street? The one with the faulty locks and no security system? My breath caught. You've been watching me. Always. No apology, no shame. Did you think I'd let you disappear completely? I knew where you were, what you were doing, who you spoke to. I stayed away because it was safer for you. But now you're here, in my territory, with my child. He's not your... He has my eyes, Lena, my face, my blood. Andrei's voice dropped. And now my enemies know he exists. Noah buried his face in my neck, sensing the tension. I stroked his back automatically, my mind racing. What enemies? What are you talking about? Andrei glanced at Pyotr, who'd moved to a discreet distance. Not here. Upstairs, where it's secure. I don't trust you. I know. Something raw flickered in his eyes. But you trusted me once. Trust that I won't let anything happen to our son. The possessive "our" grated, but the genuine fear beneath his words rang true. Andrei had many faults. He was controlling, secretive, dangerous, but he'd never been a liar. 30 minutes, I said finally. You explain everything. Then Noah and I leave Monaco, and you stay out of our lives. His smile was bitter. You always were an optimist. The penthouse was obscene in its luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Mediterranean, the late afternoon sun turning the water to liquid gold. Noah gasped at the sight of a train set sprawling across the living room floor. Expensive, vintage, exactly the kind of thing I could never afford. Choo-choo! He wriggled out of my arms and ran toward it. Don't touch, I started, but Andrei was already kneeling beside Noah, showing him how to work the controls. Gently, he murmured, his large hands guiding Noah's small ones. Like this, see? Now it goes. Noah's delighted laugh echoed through the space, and I hated how natural they looked together. How right. Pyotr appeared with coffee I hadn't asked for, setting it on the glass table near the windows. I'll be outside, sir. Once we were alone, or as alone as we could be with Noah absorbed in his trains, Andrei poured himself vodka from a crystal decanter. Expensive Polish vodka, I noted. Some things hadn't changed. Start talking, I said, remaining standing. Who are these enemies? He took a long drink before answering. Do you know why I left? To break my heart? To prove you could? The bitterness surprised even me. To keep you alive. He met my eyes. 3 years ago, I inherited my father's business. All of it. Not just the hotels and restaurants, but the other operations. The ones that made the legitimate empire possible. My stomach dropped. You're saying... I'm saying I'm not just a businessman, Lena. I'm the head of the NOAC organization. We control everything from Gdansk to Monaco. Shipping, protection, certain political interests. He watched my reaction carefully. My father kept me separate from that world while he was alive. But when he died, I had no choice. There's always a choice. Not in my family. His laugh was harsh. The day I inherited, 3 rival organizations tried to kill me. The Kovac family in Prague, the Dimitrov syndicate in Sofia, Marek Kowalczyk right here in Monaco. They all saw an opportunity, a young, untested heir they could eliminate. I sank into the nearest chair, my legs suddenly unreliable. And me? You were my biggest weakness. They knew I loved you. Past tense, I noted, even as something in my chest ached. Marek Kowalczyk sent me photos of you at the market, at your work, getting coffee. Places I knew, routines I'd memorized. The message was clear. Make a wrong move, and you'd pay the price. So you left. Understanding dawned, cold and bitter. You thought abandoning me would keep me safe. I knew it would. He refilled his vodka. As long as you weren't connected to me, you were untouchable. The divorce, the money I sent, it was all to create distance, to make everyone believe I didn't care. And now? I watched Noah make the train circle the track, oblivious to the adult conversation reshaping his world. What's changed? I eliminated the threats. Marek is in prison. The Kovacs made peace. The Dimitrovs no longer exist. The casual way he said it made my skin crawl. I've spent 3 years securing my position, making it clear that crossing me has consequences. I thought I'd done enough. But Marek has friends, associates who don't care that he's behind bars. And today, one of them saw you in the elevator, saw Noah. Andre set down his glass with controlled precision. Within an hour, I received a message. Didn't know you had a son, Nowak. What a beautiful child. The threat was unmistakable. I wrapped my arms around myself. So what do you want? Us to hide? To run? I want you here, where I can protect you. Both of you. He moved closer, not touching, but near enough that I could smell that damned cologne. The penthouse is a fortress. Bulletproof glass, armed security, secure elevators. Nothing gets through that I don't allow. That's not a life, Andre. That's a prison. It's temporary. Give me 2 weeks to handle Marek's network. Then you can go home, and I'll arrange protection there. 2 weeks of what? Playing house? Pretending we're a family? His eyes darkened. We are a family, whether you acknowledge it or not. Noah chose that moment to run over, the elephant clutched in one hand. Mama, see? Train goes fast. I pulled him into my lap, needing his warmth, his innocence. I see, baby. It's wonderful. Man, make it go. Noah pointed at Andre with unabashed trust. He nice. If only it were that simple. Andre crouched beside my chair, his gaze level with mine. I know I have no right to ask. I know I destroyed what we had. But please, Lena, let me keep you both safe. After that, I'll sign whatever you want. Full custody, no visitation. I'll disappear from your lives if that's what you need. I looked at this man, this dangerous, complicated man who'd broken me once, who was looking at our son like he'd been given the world and didn't know how to hold it without crushing it. 1 week, I heard myself say. You have 1 week to fix this mess. Then we go home, and you stay away from us. The relief in his eyes was palpable. Thank you. But we sleep in separate rooms. We're not a couple, Andre. We're not anything. Understood. He stood, offering his hand to help me up. I ignored it. Noah yawned against my shoulder. Mama, hungry again. I'll have dinner prepared, Andre said softly. Anything he wants. As he walked toward the kitchen to call the staff, I held my son close and wondered what I'd just agreed to. 1 week in a gilded cage with the man who'd taught me what love could be, and what devastation it could bring. What could possibly go wrong? The first night in the penthouse, I barely slept. Noah had his own room, a space that Andre had somehow transformed overnight into a toddler paradise with a bed shaped like a race car, murals of trains and elephants, and enough stuffed animals to stock a toy store. I'd tucked Noah in 3 times, unable to shake the feeling that keeping him close was safer. Each time, I'd find Andre in the hallway, leaning against the wall like a guard, making no move to enter but clearly stationed there. He's fine, Lena, he'd said the 3rd time. Piotr is at the elevator. Tomasz is monitoring the security feeds. Nothing gets past the 40th floor without my knowing. Your knowing isn't enough. I'd closed Noah's door softly. He's my son. Ours. I'd walked away without responding, retreating to the master suite that Andre had insisted I take while he used the guest room. The role reversal would have been funny if everything wasn't so terrifying. Now, morning light filtered through blackout curtains I'd forgotten to close. I checked my phone, 6:47 a.m., and 14 messages from Kasia, my best friend and lawyer back in Chicago. Kasia. Where are you? Kasia, your coworker said you never came back from lunch yesterday, Kasia. Lena Kowalski. I swear to God, I typed quickly. I'm safe. Something came up. We'll call soon. Her response was immediate. Is it him? I stared at the screen. Kasia was the only person who knew the whole story. The whirlwind marriage, the devastating abandonment, the the pregnancy I'd hidden from everyone until I couldn't anymore. "Yes," I typed. "He's here. He knows about Noah." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "Do you need extraction? I can be on a plane in 2 hours." The offer made my throat tight. "Not yet. It's complicated." "Cassia." "It's always complicated with him. That's the problem." She wasn't wrong. I found Noah already awake, sitting on the kitchen floor with Andre, both of them surrounded by what appeared to be half the contents of the refrigerator. "Pancakes or waffles?" Andre was asking seriously, as if consulting a foreign dignitary. "Both," Noah declared. "Excellent choice. And fruit?" "No fruit, just syrup." Andre caught my eye, something like amusement flickering there. "Your mother might have opinions about that." "She does." I moved into the kitchen, scooping Noah up for a good morning hug. "Fruit first, then syrup. That's the rule." Noah pouted but didn't argue. Andre rose fluidly from the floor, and I noticed he was dressed casually. Dark jeans, a white button-down with the sleeves rolled up. No tie, no armor of formality. It made him look younger, more like the man I'd married. "Coffee?" he offered. "I can get it myself." "I know you can." He poured anyway, adding exactly the right amount of cream. "But you don't have to." The familiar gesture, one he'd performed every morning of our marriage, made my chest ache. I accepted the mug without thanks. Breakfast was strange and domestic. Noah chattered about the trains, about his room, about the big water he could see from the window. Andre listened with an attention I hadn't expected, asking questions, laughing at Noah's pronunciation of Mediterranean. It came out as Medterranean. I watched them, these 2 pieces of my broken heart, and wondered how I'd thought I could keep them apart forever. After breakfast, Andre disappeared into his office for a call. I took the opportunity to phone Kasia. "Start talking," she demanded the moment she answered. I gave her the abbreviated version, the elevator, the threats, the temporary arrangement. She listened without interrupting until I finished. "Lena," her voice was carefully controlled, "you know what he is, what he does." "I know. Do you?" "Because the Andre Nowak I researched after he left you isn't just some businessman with questionable friends. He's the head of a criminal organization." "I know, Kasia." "He told me." Silence. Then, "And you're staying in his penthouse with your son." "Our son. And yes, because the alternative is Noah being used as leverage by people worse than Andre." "Is anyone worse than Andre?" The question hung between us. I thought about the man who'd abandoned me, the man who'd watched me from afar for 3 years, the man who'd looked at Noah this morning like he'd been given a miracle. "I don't know anymore," I admitted. After I hung up, I found Andre in his office, city skyline spread behind him like a kingdom. He was on the phone, speaking rapid Polish, too fast for my limited understanding. But I caught a few words: permanent solution, family, non-negotiable. He ended the call when he saw me. "Everything all right?" "No." I closed the door behind me. Noah was occupied with cartoons in the living room, Piotr watching over him. "Nothing about this is all right. You can't just upend our lives because you've decided you want to play father." "Is that what you think I'm doing?" His voice was dangerously quiet. "Playing? What else would you call it? You had 3 years to be involved, Andre. 3 years while I changed diapers alone, walked the floors at night alone, celebrated his first steps and first words alone. You don't get to swan in now with your money and your power and claim him." He rose from behind the desk. "You're right." The admission surprised me. "What?" "You're absolutely right. I should have been there. I should have found another way to protect you both." He moved closer. "But I can't change the past, Lena. I can only try to make the present safer. By trapping us here. By keeping you alive. His hand lifted as if to touch my face, then dropped. Do you know what they would do if they got their hands on Noah? On you? I didn't want to imagine. Then end it. Use your power, your connections. Make the threat go away. I'm working on it. But these things take time. How much time? As long as necessary. I laughed bitterly. Vague as always. Some things never change. Some things do. His eyes held mine. I've changed, Lena. The life I lead now, it's not what I wanted. It's what I inherited, what I was born into. But seeing you again, seeing our son. He paused. It reminds me there are things worth protecting, things worth fighting for. Pretty words. You always had pretty words. I turned toward the window, unable to bear his intensity. But words don't raise children. Words don't pay rent or stay up during fevers or figure out why he won't eat vegetables suddenly. Then let me do more than words. Let me provide for him. For you. I don't want your money. I know. You never did. There was something like admiration in his voice. You never touched the settlement I sent. Blood money doesn't spend well. He flinched. Is that what you think it is? I turned back to him. Isn't it? Everything you have, this penthouse, the hotels, the power, it's all built on violence and fear. You said so yourself. My father built the foundation. I'm trying to make it legitimate. By putting people in prison, making others no longer exist? I used his own phrase. That's not legitimate, Andre. That's just a different kind of corruption. His jaw tightened. You want to know the truth? Fine. My father's organization controlled human trafficking, drugs, things that destroyed lives. When I took over, I shut all of that down. Now we handle protection, yes. Shipping that avoids certain tariffs, yes. But I don't deal in human suffering. I won't. The distinction seemed important to him. I wasn't sure it mattered. You're still a criminal. Yes, no denial. But I'm a criminal trying to build something better. For the organization, for the people who depend on it, for our son. Noah doesn't need your empire. He needs a father who won't end up dead or in prison. Then help me get out. I stared at him. What? You have a degree in business ethics. You've built a career consulting on corruption prevention. He pulled out a file I hadn't noticed on his desk. I've read all your papers, attended your conferences virtually. You're brilliant at finding ways to legitimize gray area operations. He'd been following my career. The thought made me dizzy. Help me clean up the Nowak holdings. Make them legitimate enough that Noah can inherit an empire he doesn't have to be ashamed of. Andre's voice dropped. Please. It was the please that undid me. Andre Nowak didn't beg. Didn't ask for help. Didn't show vulnerability. Why now? Why not 3 years ago? Because 3 years ago I thought keeping you safe meant keeping you away. I was wrong. He moved closer, not touching, but near enough that I could feel his warmth. I was wrong about so many things, Lena. Let me try to make it right. Noah's laugh drifted from the living room, followed by Piotr's deeper chuckle. My son, happy and safe in this gilded cage. One condition, I heard myself say, anything. Complete transparency. If I'm going to help you, I need to know everything. Every business, every operation, every skeleton in every closet. No more secrets. Andre extended his hand. Deal. I looked at that outstretched hand. The same hand that had held mine at our wedding, that had let me go without explanation, that had just gestured toward our son with such tender uncertainty. Taking it would change everything. Again. I took it. His fingers closed around mine. warm and sure. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, I said. You might not like what I find. His smile was slow, dangerous, and devastatingly familiar. I never liked it when you made things easy, Lena. That was never your appeal. Then you're going to love the next week. As I pulled my hand away and walked back toward Noah, I felt Andre's gaze on me, felt the weight of the decision I'd just made. I was going to help the man who'd broken my heart clean up his criminal empire. What could possibly go wrong? 3 days into our arrangement, I discovered Andrei Nowak was a terrible influence on our son. No, Noah, we don't negotiate with terrorists, even tiny ones. I blocked the hallway to the bedroom, arms crossed. It's bedtime. But Tata said, Tata is wrong. The Polish word for father had slipped from Noah's lips yesterday, and Andrei's expression had crumbled in a way I'd never seen. Now my son used it constantly, and Andrei responded every single time like he'd been granted a miracle. Tata said I could stay up for the boats. Noah pointed toward the harbor visible from the penthouse windows, where the evening yacht parade was beginning. Tata can watch boats during toddler bedtime tomorrow. I scooped Noah up despite his wriggling. Nice try, though. Very strategic. He learned from the best. Andrei appeared in the doorway of his office, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up. It was his working-from-home uniform, and I'd learned it meant he was deep in the legitimate business restructuring I'd insisted on. You're not helping, I told him. I'm observing. There's a difference. But he moved closer, holding out his arms. Come here, Noah. Let's make a deal. I should have intervened. Instead, I watched as my son scrambled toward his father with complete trust. If you go to bed now, tomorrow we'll watch the boats together, and I'll teach you about the different kinds. Andrei's voice was gentle. The big ones, the fast ones, the ones with sails. Promise? Na honor. On my honor. Andrei pressed his hand to his heart. Nowak men keep their promises. Noah considered this with the seriousness of a Supreme Court justice. Okay, Tata. Deal. 20 minutes later, Noah was asleep with his elephant, and I found Andrei on the terrace, city lights spread below like scattered diamonds. You're spoiling him. I have 3 years to make up for. He didn't turn around. Let me spoil him a little. I leaned against the railing beside him, maintaining careful distance. The evening air was warm, carrying the scent of sea and jasmine from the planters. I finished reviewing the shipping manifests today, I said, shifting to safer ground. The ones you flagged as questionable. And 70% could be restructured legally with proper licensing. 20% need to be shut down immediately. The last 10. I pulled out my phone, showing him my notes. Those I need you to explain because they don't make sense. Andrei studied the screen, his brow furrowing. Those are legacy contracts, from my father's time. Legacy contracts for what? Nothing illegal, just morally gray. He met my eyes. They're protection agreements with businesses in Gdansk. We ensure their shops don't get robbed, their deliveries arrive safely. In exchange, they pay a monthly fee. That's a protection racket, Andrei. It's a service they want, need. His voice hardened. Do you know how many of those businesses were burned down before my father stepped in? How many owners were beaten, families threatened? So you threaten them instead? We protect them. There's a difference. Is there? I challenged. Or do you just tell yourself that to sleep at night? His jaw tightened. You asked for honesty. This is it. Not everything I do is clean, Lena. But it's cleaner than what came before. The admission sat between us, uncomfortable and raw. End those contracts, I said finally. Just like that? Yes. If you want to be legitimate, you can't pick and choose. Protection rackets go or I walk. Andrei was quiet for a long moment. Those contracts employ 40 of my people. Families depend on that income. Then find them legitimate work in the hotels, the restaurants. You have the resources. I softened slightly. I'm not saying abandon your people, Andre. I'm saying give them a legal way to earn. He turned fully toward me, and in the low light, he looked younger. Less like the dangerous man who controlled Monaco's underworld, and more like the husband who'd once brought me coffee in bed. You're asking me to dismantle what my father spent his life building. I'm asking you to build something better. Something Noah can be proud of. At the mention of our son, something shifted in his expression. He called me Tata today. I heard. Do you know what that felt like? To have him trust me when I've done nothing to earn it? Andre's voice roughened. He should hate me. You both should. The vulnerability caught me off guard. Noah doesn't know how to hate. And I paused, searching for truth. I don't hate you, Andre. I just don't know if I can trust you. Then let me earn it. Both of your trust. He moved closer, and I forced myself not to retreat. I know I can't undo the past, can't give back the 3 years I stole from us. But I can try to build a future worth having. Pretty words again. No. A promise. No honor. He pressed his hand to his heart, the same gesture he'd made to Noah. I will make this right, Lena. Whatever it takes. The intensity in his eyes made breathing difficult. Don't make promises you can't keep. I never do. We stood there on the terrace, the night wrapping around us, and I felt the walls I'd built beginning to crack. Not breaking, not yet, but definitely cracking. The protection contracts end, I said finally. Tomorrow. Done. And the shipping operations that can't be salvaged get shut down. Agreed. And you stop buying Noah's affection with trains and boats and ridiculous murals. A smile tugged at Andre's mouth. That one might be harder. Despite myself, I almost smiled back. Try. My phone buzzed. Cassia, checking in for the 3rd time that day. I ignored it. Your friend worries, Andre observed. She has reason to. Does she know I'd never hurt you? Never let anyone hurt you? I met his eyes. She knows what you are. So do I. The question is whether protection and possession look different to you. Something flickered in his expression. Pain. Recognition. They didn't used to. But I'm learning. Learn faster. I moved toward the door. We only have 4 more days before I take Noah home. Lena. My name stopped me. What if I asked you to stay? My heart stuttered. Don't. Why not? Because you don't get to walk back into our lives and pretend nothing happened. You don't get to play house for a week and expect forgiveness. The words came out sharper than intended. You broke me, Andre. Completely. It took me 2 years to feel human again. His face went pale. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix it. Sorry doesn't give Noah back his father for the first 3 years of his life. Sorry doesn't make this, I gestured between us, anything more than a temporary arrangement. Then what would? What would make you consider giving us another chance? The question hung in the night air. I thought about the man who'd left without explanation. The man who'd watched me from afar. The man who'd looked at our son this morning and promised him boats with such tender certainty. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe nothing. Maybe the damage is too deep. Or maybe, he said softly, it just needs time to heal. I left him on the terrace and went to check on Noah one more time. My son slept peacefully, elephant tucked under his chin, a slight smile on his face. In the hallway, I found Piotr at his usual post. Everything secure? I asked. Always, ma'am. He paused. Mr. Nowak is a good man. Complicated, but good. I didn't respond. didn't know how to explain that good men didn't run criminal empires, no matter how much they were trying to reform. In my room, the master suite with its ridiculous luxury and views, I finally called Kasia back. "Tell me you're coming home," she said immediately. 4 more days. And then? I looked out at the Mediterranean, at the boats Andrzej had promised to show Noah, at the city where my past and present had collided so violently. "I don't know," I whispered. "I honestly don't know." Because the man who destroyed me was the same man making our son laugh. The criminal I should fear was the man restructuring his empire at my request. The husband who'd left was the father who looked at Noah like he'd hung the moon. And I had no idea which version was real. Or if, terrifyingly, they all were. On the 5th day, everything went wrong. I woke to shouting. Andrzej's voice, harsh and furious, coming from his office. I checked Noah's room first. Empty. My heart seized before I heard his laughter from the kitchen, Piotr's gentle voice responding. I followed Andrzej's voice. "Don't care what it costs, Wojtek. I want him found. Now." Andrzej stood at his desk, phone pressed to his ear, his other hand braced on the surface. "No, not questioned. Found. There's a difference." I knocked softly. He looked up, and the fury in his eyes made me step back instinctively before it shuddered into careful blankness. "I'll call you back." He ended the call. "Lena, I didn't hear you. What's wrong? And where's Noah?" "Noah's safe. Piotr's with him." But the tension in his shoulders belied the calm words. "There's been a development." My stomach dropped. "What kind of development?" Andrzej pulled up security footage on his computer. "This was captured 2 hours ago. 3rd floor balcony of the hotel. The image showed a man I didn't recognize. 30s, athletic build, taking photos with a telephoto lens. The angle clearly captured the penthouse terrace where Noah had played yesterday. "Who is he?" "Marek Kowalczyk's nephew, Tomasz." Andrzej's voice was ice. "He checked into the hotel yesterday under a false name. We didn't catch it until he started surveillance." My legs went weak. I gripped the desk edge. "He's watching Noah." "Was watching." "He's gone now. Checked out an hour ago." Andrzej moved around the desk toward me. "Lena, I need to ask you something, and I need complete honesty." "What? Has anyone unusual approached you? Followed you? Even before Monaco? Back in Chicago?" I thought back through the past weeks. "No, I don't think so." "Why?" "Because Tomasz knew exactly when to arrive. Knew you'd be here with Noah." His eyes searched mine. "Someone told him. Someone close enough to know your schedule." The implication hit like a fist. "You think I'm working with them? That I'd endanger my own son?" "No." The response was instant. "But someone you know might have mentioned the conference, casually, not realizing the significance." I ran through recent conversations. My coworkers knew about Monaco, but they didn't know about Andrzej, didn't know about Noah's paternity. Kasia knew, but she'd die before betraying me. Unless... "The conference registration was public," I said slowly. "Anyone could have seen I'd be speaking here, and your hotel is the official conference venue." Andrzej's expression darkened. "You think he tracked you through public records?" "It's possible. My name's on the keynote list, if someone was looking." I wrapped my arms around myself. "How long has he been watching?" "We're reviewing footage now. But Lena..." He paused. "We need to assume he knows everything. About Noah, about his connection to me. Which means we need to change the security protocol." "Change how?" "You and Noah can't stay in the penthouse. Too exposed, too predictable." He pulled up a map on his screen. "I have a property in the hills. Private, heavily secured. We'll move there today." "For how long?" "Until Tomasz is contained. The casual phrasing didn't hide the threat beneath. I've made too many enemies, Lena. I won't let you and Noah pay for my mistakes. I should have argued. Should have demanded to leave Monaco immediately. Instead, I heard myself ask, how secure is this property? Impenetrable. My father built it as a safe house. Walls, gates, armed security. Nothing gets in that I don't allow. How long to pack? Relief flickered across his face. 30 minutes. I'll have Piotr help with Noah's things. The house in the hills was a fortress disguised as a villa. Stone walls, iron gates, security cameras at every angle. Inside, it was surprisingly warm. Traditional furniture, family photos I'd never seen, evidence of the life Andre had lived before me. Noah loved it immediately, racing through rooms with Piotr trailing patiently behind. I followed Andre to what appeared to be a command center, screens showing every angle of the property. This is where you've been coordinating everything, I observed. The restructuring, the threat assessment, all of it. My father ran the organization from here. Now I do. He gestured to a particular screen. That's the gate, the perimeter, the road approaching. Nothing moves without us knowing. And Tomasz? Being tracked. Wojtek has people on him. Andre pulled up another file. But there's something you should see. The file contained surveillance photos. Me leaving my apartment in Chicago, Noah at his daycare, both of us at the grocery store. Dates going back 3 months. They've been watching us for months? My voice came out hollow. Tomasz specifically, building a case file, waiting for the right moment. Andre's jaw was tight. I underestimated how much Marek's people wanted revenge. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing and fix it. I'm trying, but Lena? He turned to face me fully. This isn't going to end in 4 days. Even if I eliminate Tomasz, there will be others. There will always be others as long as I'm in this life. The reality of it settled over me like a shroud. Then get out. Sell the organization, walk away. You said you wanted legitimacy. It's not that simple. There are people depending on me, families, operations. I can't just... Yes, you can. I moved closer, anger replacing fear. You're choosing this, Andre. Choosing the power, the control, the violence. Don't pretend you're trapped when you're holding the key. His eyes flashed. You want me to abandon everyone who's loyal to me? To leave them to whoever takes over? You don't understand this world. Then explain it to me. Make me understand why your empire is worth more than your son's safety. The words hit like a slap. Andre stepped back, running a hand through his hair. It's not. God, Lena, it's not. But walking away doesn't guarantee his safety. It might make it worse. How? Because the people I've controlled, the enemies I've kept in check. If I'm gone, they'll see weakness. They'll come after what's mine anyway, but I won't be there to protect it. He gestured toward where Noah's laughter echoed from another room. At least now I have the resources, the power to keep him safe. Or you're just making excuses to keep the life you've built. His expression hardened. Is that what you think? That I want this? That I enjoy looking over my shoulder, wondering which associate will betray me next? I inherited a nightmare, Lena. I'm doing my best to survive it. And what about Noah? What kind of life will he have with a father who's constantly under threat? A better one than he'd have without me. Andre's voice dropped. Do you know what happens to the families of former crime bosses? They're targets forever. At least this way I can actively protect you both. I wanted to argue, to find a flaw in his logic. But the surveillance photos on the screen told their own story. We'd already been targets, even while Andre stayed away. I hate this, I whispered. I know. He moved closer, not touching, but near enough that I could feel his warmth. I hate it too, but I'm asking you to trust that I'm doing what's best for our son. Trust. I laughed bitterly. That's asking a lot. I know. His hand lifted, hesitated, then gently cupped my face. The contact sent electricity through me, familiar and terrifying. But I'm asking anyway. I should have pulled away. Should have maintained the distance I'd worked so hard to create. Instead, I found myself leaning into his touch, just slightly. Tata! Mama! Noah's voice broke the moment. Come see. Big room with toys. Andre's hand dropped. We stared at each other, something unspoken hanging between us. We should, I started. Yes. He stepped back. We should check on him. As I walked toward Noah's excited chattering, I felt Andre following, felt the weight of decisions not yet made. We were no longer in a gilded cage. We were in a fortress. And I wasn't sure if that made me feel safer or more trapped. The threat came at dawn on the 7th day. I woke to Andre's hand over my mouth, his eyes urgent in the dim light. He pressed a finger to his lips, then removed his hand carefully. What? I whispered. Someone breached the perimeter. Piotr has Noah in the safe room. His voice was barely audible. I need you to go there. Now. Fear crystallized into clarity. I grabbed my robe, following Andre through halls I'd memorized over the past 2 days. The safe room was hidden behind a bookcase in the library. Andre had shown me the first day, just in case. Piotr stood guard outside, Noah wrapped in a blanket in his arms, still drowsy. My son reached for me immediately. Mama, why we hiding? It's a game, baby. I took him, pressing kisses to his hair, like hide and seek. Inside, Andre's command was directed at me. Don't come out until I give the all clear. What about you? His smile was sharp, dangerous. I'm going to remind some people why crossing me is a mistake. He was gone before I could respond. Piotr ushered me into the safe room, a reinforced space with its own air supply, communications equipment, and enough supplies for several days. The door sealed behind us with a heavy thunk. Noah squirmed in my arms. Don't like this game. I know, sweetheart, but we have to stay very quiet and very still. I settled onto the couch, wrapping us both in the blanket. Through the monitors, I watched figures moving through the property. 4 men, heavily armed, advancing on the villa. Andre appeared on screen, flanked by Wojtek and Tomasz Zielinski, his security chief. What followed was brutally efficient. No shots fired, no violence I could see from the cameras. Just strategic positioning, and within minutes, the intruders were on their knees, hands behind their heads. I recognized one of them from the surveillance photos, Tomasz Kowalczyk. The audio feed crackled to life. Andre's voice, cold and controlled. You made a mistake coming here. Your bastard doesn't deserve the Nowak name. Tomasz spat blood. My uncle will never stop, even from prison. Your uncle's time is running out, as is yours. Andre crouched to eye level. But I'm going to give you a choice, one chance to walk away. I held my breath. This was the test. Would Andre choose the violence of his father's world, or something different? You and your men leave Monaco. Tonight. You contact the prosecutor and offer testimony against Marek's entire operation. In exchange, I guarantee your family's safety and enough money to start over. Anywhere but here. Tomasz laughed harshly. And if I refuse? Then you've chosen the hard way, and I promise you won't like how that ends. Andre stood. You have 10 minutes to decide. The feed cut. I stared at the screens, my heart racing. Andre was offering mercy, but it was mercy with teeth, a threat wrapped in opportunity. 20 minutes later, the all-clear came. Piotr opened the safe room door. It's over. They're leaving. I carried Noah out, finding Andrei in the villa's main room, pouring vodka with hands that shook slightly. Blood stained his shirt cuff. Are you hurt? I set Noah down, moving toward Andrei instinctively. Not mine. He downed the vodka. Tomasz chose the easy way. He and his men are being escorted to the airport. By morning, they'll be testifying against Marek's entire network. You let them go. I gave them a choice. They made the smart one. He finally looked at me, exhaustion evident in every line of his face. No one dies today, Lena. That was your condition, wasn't it? Find a way without bloodshed. The realization hit me. He'd planned this. The safe house, the security, the offer of testimony. All of it designed to end the threat without becoming the monster I feared. Tata hurt? Noah asked, noticing the blood. Andrei's expression softened. No, Noah. Tata's fine. Promise? Na honor. The same oath, the same hand over his heart. Noah seemed satisfied, running off to find Piotr and the promised breakfast. Alone with Andrei, I struggled for words. You did it. You found another way. You asked me to. He set down the glass. I'm trying to be the man you need, the father Noah deserves. Andrei, let me finish, please. He moved closer. These past 7 days, watching you with Noah, working beside you to restructure everything, I've remembered what I was fighting for. Not power, not the empire. You. Both of you. My breath caught. Don't do this. I've filed the paperwork. I'm stepping back from operational control of the organization. Wojtek will take over the transition to legitimate businesses. I'll maintain advisory role only. No more field work, no more active threats. I stared at him. You're leaving the life. I'm choosing a different one where I can be present for my son's life, where I can earn back your trust. His hand found mine, tentative. If you'll let me. This isn't a week anymore. This is forever. I know. His thumb traced circles on my wrist. I'm asking for forever, Lena. Asking you to give us another chance. Not as we were, but as we could be. I'm still angry with you. Still hurt. I know that too. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you if you let me. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Not a ring box. Something else. Inside were 2 documents. I read them with growing shock. Legal custody papers. Joint custody. My voice wavered. And a prenuptial agreement stating I keep everything in my name, plus a trust for Noah that you can't touch. I'm not trying to trap you. I'm trying to prove I want you, not control over you. Andrei's voice was raw. Marry me again, Lena. Not because you're forced to, but because you choose to. Because you believe I can be better. This is insane. A week ago, I hated you. Do you hate me now? I looked at this man. This complicated, dangerous, infuriating man who'd just restructured his entire life because I'd asked him to. Who'd found a way to end threats without bloodshed. Who'd looked at our son with such fierce love it transformed his face. No, I whispered. I don't hate you. Then give me a chance. Please, Lena. Let me be the husband I should have been. The father I want to be. Noah ran back in, elephant clutched in his hand. Mama, when we go home? Home. Chicago. My apartment. My old life. Or here, with Andrei, building something new from the ruins of what we'd lost. I looked between them, my past and my future, wearing the same face. What if I said yes? I asked Andrei. What would that look like? Hope flared in his eyes. Whatever you want. We live wherever you're comfortable. You keep your career. I support from behind the scenes. We raised Noah together, as partners. No secrets. None. No going back to the violent life. Never. And if I need time, if I'm not ready to jump into marriage immediately, then we take it slow. Court properly this time. Let you see who I am now, not who I was. He squeezed my hand gently. I'll wait as long as it takes. Noah tugged on my robe. Mama, stay with Tata? I looked down at my son, at his hopeful face, at the joy in his eyes when he looked at his father. Then at Andre, at the vulnerability he was showing me, the future he was offering. Yes, I heard myself say. We'll stay. But slowly. We do this right this time. Andre pulled me into his arms, careful, reverent, like I was something precious he'd almost lost. Thank you. God, Lena. Thank you. Noah squeezed between us. Group hug. We both laughed, the sound breaking the tension. And there, in a fortress in the hills of Monaco, we began again. 18 months later. The small chapel overlooked the Mediterranean, intimate and private. Just family. Cassia as my maid of honor, Wojtek standing up for Andre, and Noah in a tiny suit, carrying rings on a velvet pillow. I wore cream instead of white, a simple dress that accommodated the small bump just beginning to show. 4 months along with our second child, a surprise that had cemented what the past year had proven. We could do this. We could be a family. As I walked down the aisle, Andre's expression crumbled. He wiped his eyes unashamedly. This man who'd terrified international criminals, undone by the sight of me in a wedding dress. Hi, I whispered when I reached him. Hi. His voice was thick. You're beautiful. Noah stood between us during the vows, holding both our hands. When the priest pronounced us married, Andre kissed me softly, then bent to kiss Noah's head. My family, he murmured against my hair. Forever. At the reception, I found him on the terrace, staring out at the water. Regretting it already? I teased. Never. He pulled me close, his hand resting on the slight curve of my belly. How are you feeling? Is she? She's fine. We're fine. I leaned into him. We're better than fine. Lena. He turned me to face him. I need to tell you something. Fear spiked. What? I'm scared. The admission was barely audible. Terrified I'll mess this up, that I'll fail you again, fail our children. I cupped his face. Then we'll be scared together, and we'll figure it out. That's what partners do. Partners. He smiled. I like the sound of that. Good, because you're stuck with me now, legally and everything. His kiss was deep, thorough, full of promise. When we broke apart, Noah was tugging on Andre's jacket. Tata, Mama, baby sister coming soon. Very soon, I confirmed. And we all stay together? Forever? Andre scooped him up. Forever, Noah, I promise, na honor. As I watched my husband with our son, his hand still resting protectively on our daughter, I felt the last pieces of my broken heart slot back into place. We'd started in an elevator, two strangers colliding with a secret neither knew existed. We'd survived abandonment, threats, and the ghosts of violence. And we'd arrived here, a family rebuilt from ruins, stronger for having been broken. The man the world feared had become a father who cried at weddings. The wife he'd left had become the partner who'd saved him, and the child caught between them had become the bridge that made redemption possible. I love you, I whispered to Andre. I love you more, he replied. Both of you. All of you. Noah giggled. All of us forever. Yes, we said together. All of us forever. The end and the beginning.